Good morning. How are you today? Well, it's sunny and it's cold, but it's that time of year. As a young prosecutor, you get used to the notion of agents come into your office, allege a crime. When I started, I used a manual typewriter, and I'd bang out a complaint stating the facts, having debriefed the officers or agents, and citing the law. And then we would go down to an arraignment before a federal magistrate. So what has that got to do with what happened in the Capitol? Well, while all of that was going on, and I spoke to some staffers on the Hill in the last few days, one person had actually drafted an impeachment resolution. Could have been filed immediately. Just like what I did as a young AUSA, Assistant U.S. Attorney, writing a complaint. The pause between the act and the prosecution have an effect. Because if you strike quickly, you deter others. Because a lot of law enforcement is deterring others from taking the chance of committing the same offense and having their lives turned upside down. So when you pause and don't act and talk, that's what happens. Now, I don't mean to put down the members of Congress, but consider your reaction when the House and the Senate have been the scene of a riot, people that in essence want to overthrow the government. What do? Do you run home across the country in planes? Well, a lot did. And as a result of that, we have stories of how they were diminished in person and abused by the people who were also the rioters who were leaving the town. And in the course of doing that, they were traveling with the members of Congress, and they were criticizing them, humiliating them. Now, if they had stayed, which is what they should have done, they could have been addressing this. They could have been debating it. They could have been talking about it. They could have been showing the nation and the world what we think about what happened here. But instead, we talk. Now, what do you think the Las Vegas odds were and are that Pence would get the cabinet to invoke the 25th Amendment? Slim to none. Yet we set this thing up in a series of events. It's not enough to have the symbol of an action. You have to have the action. You have to do it. And they're not doing it. Now, how serious was this invasion? Was this just a protest out of control? No, it wasn't. And Clyburn talks about how he has a hideaway office, and there are some members of the House and the Senate that have these hideaway offices in the Capitol. I've been at them, and you can't find them. They don't have names or numbers. They found his. They knew his. They took his iPad, and other electronic data was taken, I understand, from the Speaker's office as well. So they didn't just take a rostrum and take the sign off her door. They did that. And papers were missing from other places as well. They were collecting intelligence. So they not only got there easily, they knew where to go, they retrieved intelligence, and they took it away, and they're coming back. Now, are we going to be ready the second time? Hopefully. If you think about it, the election could have gone very differently if we didn't know what DeJoy was doing as early as we did to protect us from the Postal Service failing us on Election Day. But because we knew about DeJoy, we were able to prepare and to find ways to get our vote to count. And legislators found ways to get the information out so that we could have the full and fair vote that beat Trump. Now that's something, and that's important. So we are in a position again, we are unnoticed that these characters aren't going away. And some people that would take Trump's statements, we're going to have a transition. Yeah, well, we're going to have a transition and he's going to continue to do whatever he can do to mess it up. So maybe it's no accident he's not in town. I don't mean to be an alarmist, but to be foolish is to do nothing. To be smart is to prepare. To be smart is to move the event of the inauguration indoors or someplace else. I mean, the pandemic alone argues strongly that that's what we should do. So why aren't we doing the smart thing? Why haven't we already passed the impeachment? Why haven't we already talked about moving the inauguration? And should we have, a speaker stand by, that is not attend, or the vice president be sworn in and then leave the stage? I don't know. But I think it's very risky to assume that we're secure and this is over. It's not. And it may not be over for a long time because there are people launched and communicating through their own social media. And we cannot parlay the Donald and so forth. And there are elements of our government that are a day late and a dollar short in terms of protecting and securing our people. So hopefully this alarm will go out. People will pay attention to the dangers that face our republic and stop being Pollyannish about it all. I didn't exactly plan what I would talk about. I usually don't anyhow, but this came into my head. And I suppose that by kind of squinting my mind, this is the most important thing, our preparedness, our actions with force. I'm very encouraged the FBI is arresting all the people that they are, because that will lead us to information. Because some of these people will tell us data, how they got there, who they spoke to, what the plan was. Was it worse than we know? Did they intend to take hostages? Did they intend to hurt people? These are the kinds of things that you have to take seriously. And the Hill didn't handle 9/11 well, and I'm not sure it's handling this emergency adequately. So here I am in my cathedral of trees on a beautiful day, and we have time to get this right, and we can't afford to get it wrong. So all the best. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.